Ladies and gentlemen, your master of ceremonies, Caesar!
Portions of this moment cannot be overstated.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Attention all districts. This video will contain spoilers. This is your first and only warning. Continue with caution.
And may the odds be ever in your favor.
Ladies and gentlemen, your master of ceremonies, Caesar Flickerman!
This is future Diana. I've already read the book, but I never filmed an actual intro for this video, so I thought I would let you know that this video will contain spoilers for Sunrise on the Reaping, and it will contain heartbreak and fangirl moments. This is a very exciting and special video for me. I waited for this moment for a long time. If this video is meant to do anything, it's to create a space for the fangirls who have already read the book to have an open space to talk freely about the book. But this is your last and final warning. If you haven't read the book but are planning to, do not watch this video. If you're planning to watch the movie but won't read the book, also don't watch this, because that's just going to ruin your experience a little bit. You know, let's get into it. I just made it home. I cannot believe I'm holding this in my hands. First of all, let's I have yet to see what's under this lid. First of all, this is gorgeous, especially comparing it to the other editions I have, which I hate that this is a different one, but this is way prettier, so I don't care. Let's see. I don't know if we already saw this, but I haven't. What do you mean? Why can't all of the other books be so pretty? I got way too excited and didn't even film an intro, so here it is. Hi, if you're new here, I love books. I love making videos about books, and especially reading vlogs, and today is a very special day. To some of you it might just be a random Tuesday, but to me it's the release day of a very special book, and that is, as you can probably tell by the title, the thumbnail, my excitement and the clips, is Sunrise on the Reaping Day. And first of all, the sun hasn't been out in days, and today's the first day that it's out, and I think that's quite special, considering the title of the book especially. And I feel like this fact is probably gonna make me cry sooner or later, but usually when I do these reading vlogs, I always film my reactions and whatever. I'll try to do that. I cannot promise you anything. I will hopefully be reading this as quickly as possible, which also I'm scared of, because who knows if we're ever gonna get another book. But I'm so excited, and I cannot wait to share this experience with you. And if you're interested in reading this yourself, this is going to have some spoilers in it, because I want this to be a space for the fangirls to just be excited together and cry and scream over the same things. That's it. I hope you can even hear me, because it's pretty windy and I'm outside, but it's a beautiful day, and I guess I'm gonna start reading now. This feels so wrong. Page 5, and she already dropped the most devastating line ever. We figured it out, but now we know. The way she dropped all of the names. So what you're saying is that we're getting the sad backstories of each and every single one of the characters we know? Cause no thank you. I do not want to reread and rewatch the other movies with all this information in my head, because that will make me cry for every single person. This is horrible. And I already obsessed with the book. 109 pages. I'll read a few more and then I'll eat, because I need to eat, sadly. So they go way back. Haymitch and everyone mentioned they all. That's crazy. So much to think about. Reading that line and knowing how Haymitch wins the games. Corio, you better take care. You're almost admitting that you loved Lucy Gray. Damn. Take her name out of your mouth. We finally know. How does it get to where it landed though? The Haymitch and Effie shippers are gonna eat this up. But it's just me in the corner saying, yay, you're gonna fall in love. No, but I truly love Haymitch and Effie, even if it's just platonic. Lucy Gray. Haymitch's and Effie's lore runs so deep. What do you mean Effie did what Cinna had to do for Haymitch before the game started? They were kids. I'm upset about this. I did not want to know this. I did, but I didn't. I know a certain girl on fire that burned down an arena.
I love him. Hamish has my entire heart. I cannot wait to see that in the adaptation, in the movies. He's so great. Oh my god. So powerful, and the way everything's just full circling with Katniss, I can't. First, they hit me with that depressing ass shit, and then they hit me with that Lucy Gray type of bullshit. No, but I just cried a little. Thank you, Monsieur Lee. And then also shout out to Lucy Gray Bird. I just wanted to talk about the fact that Hamish, since he was 16, thought about ending the Capitol, and then finally 15 years later of drowning in alcohol and sorrow and pain and grief, he had a glimpse of hope, and that was Katniss. And then they managed to overthrow the Capitol, and that's so magical. I'm so glad that he survived to see that happening, because Lucy Gray, Sejanus, many people who didn't, and I'm so glad to know that he's always been this way, and that he managed to see the end of it. And he kept the promise, and he kept his promise. Lucy Gray, my love, no one will ever forget you. What the hell? Hamish asking the exact same questions we were asking ourselves after Songbirds. I waited for this book officially for a year, but unofficially for 10 years, and I just read it in one afternoon. Do I hate myself for that? Yeah, I could have saved it, but also I didn't want to see any spoilers, and I wanted to read it for myself. And also, you couldn't stop me because this book is brilliant. It's fucking brilliant. Maybe I don't want to say anything because I still have 30 pages left, but this might just be my favorite Target book ever. You see, I know what's coming, but I'm incredibly scared. Lucy Gray, your legacy shall never die. I have so many thoughts. This is so full circle and so bittersweet, heartbreaking. I just stopped crying if it cut down. So 20 pages to go, I guess. I am, quite frankly, still shocked and heartbroken about the fact that Burdock is Katniss's dad. And the presence of him in this book chills. I would welcome death if it wasn't for my promise to Lenore Dove that I would somehow keep the sun from rising on Reap. I'm in fact still crying, but I just wanted to say that he did manage to keep his promise, and that I'm very proud of him, and I'm really getting emotional again, so I should shut up and finally finish this book. The fact that Snow / Lucy Gray and Haymitch, Lenore had a very similar ending, with him searching for her in the woods, but theirs is filled with love and the other one's filled with hatred. Lenore Dove, you are my favorite girl ever. Thank you for shining so bright. I need to compose myself before I say anything else. The most perfect epilogue ever, the most perfect book ever, and why did the acknowledgements make me cry? That last line? Shut up. I am high on adrenaline and excitement and heartbreak. We'll do an outro review in a bit, maybe tomorrow. It's me, the next day, because I really couldn't film my review last night. I was so emotionally done and overwhelmed, and even though I kind of wanted to film the review then, because just my head was so full of ideas and questions and things to say, but I think it was a smart decision to film this now. Considering the state that I was in, as you all obviously saw. I'm a huge Hunger Games fan, have been ever since I can remember. I remember I was 11, I think, when the second movie came out, and I had to sneak into the cinema because I wasn't allowed to legally be in there because of my age, and also because of the time, because I think it was a late showing. Before I say anything else, I am so glad, and I never expected anything else from Suzanne Collins. But this book did not only not disappoint, it was way better than what I expected, which I didn't think was possible because I had high expectations, and it just went above and beyond that. I think she seriously did a wonderful job at, I don't want to say finishing the series because that would make me sad, but I also, adding to that, would be totally fine if this is where the series ended, because it felt very full circle. I keep on saying it is the most full circle to ever full circle in a full circle. That's a headache, I know, but she gave us so much more lore and filled so many plot holes, and so many questions were answered, and so many more characters had new backstory. Like she always tends to say, she always says that she's gonna write a book if she has something to say, and you could definitely feel what she wanted to say with this one. Especially just when you open the book with the quotes about propaganda and war propaganda and politics. And like with all of the books, you can feel what she's trying to say. And especially in this one, starting from the very beginning with Haymitch's reaping and the way it's rigged and the way
the news just changes the footage so that it's more positive to their cause, and it's just absolutely insane and crazy to see, and especially considering the times we currently live in, which I don't have a lot of subscribers, but if you're subscribed to me and you don't think reading is political, then click off now and unsubscribe, or educate yourself on reading, because reading has always been political, but it's an important topic, but we know that. If you're a Hunger Games fan, of course, it's a big part of the story. And first of all, before I say, I don't want to say too much on what I'm about to say, but I want to say it and then we can discuss the book some more. But I'm so excited for the movie. While reading, I kept on thinking, oh, this is going to be amazing, and I'm so glad that we already know what's happening, because I would be so sad if this wouldn't be made into a movie, because it will reach a lot more people as a movie, of course, just because of the media format, and also I think it will be brilliant as a movie. And I cannot wait for the cast announcement, which I'm scared for. I really hope Haymitch's actor isn't an actor we know. Anyway, I don't even know where to begin. First of all, I don't remember if it was ever mentioned, but I don't think so, because obviously it was rigged and he never talked about it. So I think the whole reaping process I didn't know about, and I think it's new law. I'm pretty damn sure it's new law. I was so shocked by the reaping. It's absolutely horrific and gruesome, and it just broke my heart. And I didn't film every time I cried, because that would have been kind of crazy, and I didn't just want to get out my camera every single time I cried. But I cried a bunch, just because Haymitch is such an important and amazing character, and all of the people who surround him. And just the reaping was incredibly vulnerable, and especially with his mum and Sid. It was just breaking my heart. And the introduction to all of the other tributes. Wow. And of course, Haymitch's girl, Lenore. I am quite frankly smitten with her, and she was so ahead of her time, and sadly, well, we know how that ended, but she would be so proud and amazed by what Katniss did. I wrote some notes from beginning to end of the book. This is going to be very sporadic and chaotic, because I will also probably remember stuff while I'll read you my notes. I wrote this down while reading, so I didn't know how this would end. But the Mockingjay pin, finally we get an answer. Finally we know who the lady who gives it to her is, and how she got the pin, and how it just makes it so much more symbolic and powerful, the way that Katniss found that pin and it became her whole symbol. And Snow must be so mad about it, and he should be, because you deserve to be fucking killed. Which is crazy saying the context and what this book is about, but Snow is an asshole. Of course we knew, but this just really reminded me of how horrible it is, and I think he did a lot of bad things, but the way he treated Haymitch is probably the worst one of them. His smirk, the happy homecoming thing, ripped me apart. Then from the beginning of the book, I just felt my heart shatter a little bit after bit, and then it just full on broke. Simply because, of course, we know, because of the Hunger Games books, the way Haymitch ends up, and the way he's an alcoholic, and the way he really struggles with that. And obviously we kind of thought to ourselves that there's an explanation for that, and that he's obviously dealing with very traumatic events from his past. But the way Suzanne just kept on hinting towards his future, starting with I'm not really much of a drinker, to him declining any offers of alcohol, to him wearing the vest with the champagne glasses on it, and that's also kind of the style we see him in later. Not especially the champagne glasses, but the suit he was wearing. And which I'm also thinking, has Effie always been dressing him? Which I'm so glad Effie was in this. I was really hoping for that, but she obviously put him in the vest in this book, but is she also dressing him to this day? I wonder, because he did say towards the end that he was always looking out for him and taking care of him. So I think she might be the reason behind him wearing all of the suits and whatnot. However, that's not what I was saying. Addiction to alcohol is foreshadowed a lot of the times in the words and the styling choices and such. And it's so tragic. Understanding where his pain came from just makes it all so much more heartbreaking. And yeah, adding to that, just Hamish and Effie. I know there wasn't anything romantic mentioned about them, and I'm totally fine with that. Yes, I do ship them, but that was before I knew the love of his life. And Lenore Dove is, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. I'm never quite sure with Hunger Games names, but she's so wonderful, and you could really tell the love they have for each other. And still, whether it's romantic or platonic, Effie's and Hamish's relationship just means so much more to me now, because we know how they met and how they started and the way Effie took care of him after and was really there, even though she still is oblivious, of course. Very bittersweet. And I'm so glad that I'm gonna jump to the end here, that Hamish was able to forgive himself. It's written as if Lenore Dove's ghost forgives him, and I'm sure she did. And it felt like him, and it felt like that to him. But I do think that's just his way of forgiving himself, is by finding that forgiveness in her. And I thought it was very wonderful. And I'm skipping through the epilogue right now, but that is the most brilliant epilogue I've ever read in my life. It's so perfect and so well rounded up, and I'm so glad, because I know obviously we weren't too sure how much of the, well, I guess present we were going to get, and I'm so glad that it was just the epilogue, because even though it's heartbreaking, in this way we got to hear a lot of his story more. And in the epilogue, she kept the epilogue very short, but I think it was the perfect epilogue I've ever read. It rounded everything up, full circle, closed the story, and didn't leave anything open. And also the way we got his perspective of post-war with Katniss and Peter and the geese. Don't get me started with the geese. The way I remember reading this in Mockingjay and going, good for him, but why? How? What's happening? And now we finally know, and it's so heartbreaking. I think, somebody count how many times I've said heartbreaking. But that's truly, that's the one word I will forever associate with the series, but especially this book. The geese. I don't... Whoa. Just hit me. I'm gonna try to ignore next in my notes. Even before Sunrise was released, I thought it was so interesting. But even before Sunrise, I thought it was so interesting to see the difference from the 10th to the 75th Hunger Games, because obviously a lot changed because of snow, and just over the years, of course, technology advanced. They somehow were even more horrendous. But I was really not surprised, but I thought it was interesting to see that even the 14 years between Hamish's and Katniss's games made such a big of a difference. And also, with all the characters introduced, such as Katniss's dad getting a name, and her mom, and the way they met, and the way he's literally used to be Hamish's best friend, and the fact that Hamish never said anything to Katniss because he was just so heartbroken, but so glad to be a little part of Katniss's life. And it makes, I think, if I would ever reread, which will happen eventually, or rewatch the movies, which I just recently did, I just would look at the whole story in such a different light, because Hamish knew all of these people. He literally saw Katniss grow up and volunteer for her sister, and that's so devastating. And the line in which she's just like me but luckier. I think watching the story back and what we already know, it's just a lot more tragic knowing now what we know, and it's gonna rip me to pieces, and I don't know if or when I'll be able to do that, because I've seen a lot of people on TikTok point some stuff out, and it already made me cry, and I cannot think about it for too long, because then I will cry on camera like I just did. And also the difference in the way the tributes are treated when they are reaped, I thought it was kind of similar. Obviously the train changed a lot, and I'm curious because he did say that when he got on the Victory Tour train, that was very different, and I'm interested to know if that's just because it's a different train because it's the tour and he won the games, or if they did change the trains for the districts because they complained about it when they entered the trains after the reaping. I don't know. Maybe I also missed it while reading, but I don't think I did.
Editing me, I just wanted to throw in there that a lot of the things that I'm saying sound like bullshit now to me. Not anything specific, but some of the things I'm just like, girl, shut up. But also, there's so many more things that I wish I talked about. I won't talk about them now because this video is already way longer than it was ever supposed to be. You just apparently couldn't shut me up, which is now being proven by the fact that I am yet again talking about the goddamn book. But I just wanted to throw some words in there so you know that I'm actively thinking about this, and that if you want to, you can have a discussion about this in the comments. First of all, how fated Peter and Katniss meeting was always going to happen, just because of their parents knew each other, their parents protected one another, even if they didn't actively know one another, they literally have one another. And also, anything concerning Ampert, I'm pretty certain that I'm gonna mention him sooner in the later in the video, but I did want to mention him again because he's literally so young and so innocent, and I think I just blacked him out of my mind because it just was a bit too much. And I think that's mostly it. And then also just, I think I will talk about this, but the use of song in the books has always been very powerful. But I think it's just in Battle of Songbirds and Snakes, it obviously was a very prominent thing because Lucy Gray was a writer of most of the songs we know now. But I think it's very powerful, and I especially appreciated that in the grieving scene towards the end when Burdock sings in the Old There Before. And there's many other things that I could say and want to say, but I'm gonna shut up now because I never meant I should just shut up. But it's such an interesting and complex book to talk about, of course. And I'll just leave you with that. Those are just some things I wanted to throw in there, and enjoy the rest of the video and Yap City with me.
Obviously, when they arrive at the training camp, at their apartments, very different from what we know from the books, which I thought crazy how much that changed. Really just interested to see why they changed that and when they changed that. Did it have to do with Haymitch's game? Because a lot probably changed after that. I mean, he did try to destroy the arena, and then 15 years later Katniss did, which is crazy to think about. I love the focus on how a rebellion takes time and effort, and it just doesn't happen overnight. It was so powerful to read about, especially considering that, of course, in the 10th game we had Lucy Gray and Sejanus who fought for their freedom and for everyone's freedom, but didn't succeed. And then 40 years later we have Haymitch and Lenore Dove, and honestly a lot of the tributes fighting for it, but it didn't work out the way they wanted it. And then finally we closed that story with Katniss, who did manage to put a stop to the sun rising on Reaping Day. I need to keep this a little shorter than I would like to, because I know I'm gonna get emotional if I think about it for too long. But the way it just all went full circle it's so magical and real and heartbreaking, and I'm trying to keep myself together, okay? It's been a day. I've had a day. I literally, I'm going on a tangent, but for all the other fangirls, let me know how quickly you read the book, because I legit went to the bookstore. I was in the city, because I had to drive there for like 20 minutes. I was in the city for maybe 15 minutes. Never happened in my life, because usually trains strike, whatever, and many other things, I get distracted, I do something else, I go eat, whatever. But I literally went into the bookstore, grabbed the book, filmed a couple of clips, and left all in under 15 minutes. And also, I bought the book for $1.99, because when you were supposed to pre-order it, it was $25.99, but I didn't pre-order because I knew it was going to be less expensive on the release day. And then it was $19.99 online, and I showed the online price at the register, and they took the online price. And then there was also a 15% sale going on English books in store, which made it like $16.99. And then I had a €15 gift card, so I paid $1.99 for the book. Which, anyway, it's such a gorgeous book. I don't know if I just missed the reveal of what's under the dust jacket, but I don't think there was one. And I obviously put the clip in here, but I was so shocked at how gorgeous it is, and now I want to have every single copy look like this. Anyway, that was a good distraction from helping me not cry. What I did want to say, I don't think it's in my notes per se, but I just remembered while talking about the tributes. BT and his son tore me to pieces. I would never be able to live with that guilt, and the way we learned why he ended up in the wheelchair, why he's always been somewhat forced to work with the capital, and all of these things adding up to one another, and also not the flashbacks, but the knowledge we gained on his games, the knowledge we gained on Virus games, on Max games, it just tore me apart. And speaking about those two ladies, I am so glad and happy, but mostly devastated that we got to see them again. And just thinking back about how Hamish reacted to Max going back to the games, and to Katniss wanting to work with Virus, and I'm gonna say heartbreaking again. It's just so fucking heartbreaking. But I'm so glad we got to see and read more about them. And just the fact, do not think that any of this is Hamish's fault. This is all to be blamed on Snow, of course. But that all of these years he lived with the guilt of thinking that them being tortured, and then Max having all of these problems in her older years, is to be blamed on him. It's crazy, but the sympathy I have for this man, it's crazy. And I really think I haven't seen a lot of people talk about it, but BT's son broke my heart so badly. He was so tiny, and he reminded me so much of the innocence that ruined Prim had. And then, obviously, for Hamish, it just reminded me of Sid and all the people he's lost, like Luella, and it's so terrifying. And I completely forgot to write a note about this, but Luella's whole storyline is so fucking terrifying. How can the capital do that? Not as in morally, because they're way beyond that, but how can they do that? And have they done that before? Like, have we seen it but we didn't know about it? I'm shocked. I definitely didn't end that last sentence, but we will just act like I did. I'm not going to talk about this too much, because I will literally go insane if I do. I remember when The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes came out, I went insane thinking about Lucy Gray haunting the narrative, but she really outdid herself with this one. Lucy Gray was in every single story, every single chapter, every song, every time Snow talks, he's just not getting rid of her. She rooted herself, and I'm so glad she did. I mean, you saw my reaction. I literally screamed out loud the first time Haymitch even thought of there being only one victor of 12 ever before. And then, of course, when it all went full circle and he saw her grave, which... Does that mean she's dead? Does that mean that they found her body when Snow was looking for her? Does that mean that she lived a full life in 12? Does that mean that they just put that down to honor her and they don't know where she went? I need to know more. What do you mean? There's so much to talk about. This video could be so long. And I don't mind, because like I said, this is for the fangirls, but what do you mean? Lucy Gray was all over this narrative. And I'm so glad that Haymitch learned stuff about her. And this way, because this is obviously his part in the Victor's memoir and such, I'm so glad that someone knew something about her to put her in here and honor her. Every single song choice made me weep. All of the songs he ever taught Katniss and the songs that he was taught all go back to Lucy Gray and the origins of the Covey people, and cannot wait to see this in the cinema. Let's just keep it at that. But also the use of the hanging tree and the parallels between Lenore Dove, Lucy Gray, and then Katniss Everdeen, and the reveal of the Everdeens and the connection to the Covey. I can't. Oh, and I think I talked about this last night, but I need to bring it up again, because I hope someone else picked up on that, but probably you did. Towards the end, in the most heartbreaking scene, post the gumdrop scene and the very tragic ending of Lenore Dove, when Haymitch is looking for her in the woods, and then that paralleled to Snow looking for Lucy Gray in the woods when she ran away. But I loved seeing those parallels, especially because you can tell how different. It's so similar, the situation's so similar, but you can tell that Snow was looking for her out of fear and disrespect and for very horrible reasons. And then on the other hand, you have Haymitch looking for her because he just lost the love of his life, and you could feel their love so beautifully, because where there is war, there is also love, and I think that's very powerful and magical, and I really admired their love story. And I'm not going to talk about how he lost his family, because of course we knew that they were all going to die, but him coming home him coming home to the fire and literally being there while he's losing his family, and having Snow's fuck-ass smirk in his head and saying happy homecoming. It's so fucked up, and just the whole community in District 12 coming together to mourn with him and take care of him, and to mourn all of these innocent souls who were lost, is so powerful, because I think this whole book is very emotional, but that really got to me. He was just a boy. I mean Sid, of course. Haymitch was literally 16 and he lost everything he ever loved. Nothing you can take was ever worth keeping. There's so much more I could say and that I want to say, but I don't think anybody wants that long of a review from me right now. Just circling back to the last pages for a few minutes. The way we've all been saying how much Haymitch is... Oh god, I just realized something. That Haymitch is such a father figure to Katniss, and that they're very similar, and Haymitch basically confirming that, and it's just way more tragic knowing that Haymitch was her dad's best friend, and she never even knew. And now she knows, of course, in the epilogue, but just the symbolism of it all, of her finding somewhat of a father figure in the man that used to be her dad's best friend, and she isn't even aware of it. Him building all of these walls in a way saved him from even worse possible outcomes, but it also took a lot of his life away from him. I'm still not over Haymitch always having known Katniss. That's so crazy to me. I'm trying to wrap it up, but there is so many things going on in my head. If you're truly here watching this, I love you. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the book as much as I did. This is not the outro quite yet. I did want to mention that I think quite possibly this is my new The Hunger Games book. And I forgot to mention, but our little odds maker boy, like all of the characters, broke my heart. All of the tributes that we got to actually know from District 12 and some of the others. Wow. And the parallels between Max, Haymitch, and Finnick and Max. Don't get me started. I'm gonna shut up now. I hope we can have a discussion about the book in the comments, hopefully, if anyone sees this. There's so much more I could say, but I think I'll leave that for TikTok comment sections with other fans, where I'll be able to actually talk to someone about it. But it felt very good to get all of this out. I don't know, I'm always worried that I forgot something, and I did, because there's so much more going on in my head right now, but I do think that I need to stop it at some point. But there's just so much to say, and I hope the discourse on these books never stops. And like a lot of people say, I do agree, these are modern classics. And I'll leave you with that. I have talked enough. I don't want to stop talking. There's so much more to say, but I'm gonna stop. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Suzanne Collins, and thank you, Woody Harrelson. Goodbye. May the odds be ever in your favor. I'm already done filming, but I just remembered something that I wanted to share, and that's just the word sweetheart. And oh my god, now I'm remembering. I said I would shut up. You can't catch me now.